about Ubashana Hashviyas, right? The Maimed is about an Eved Ivri, Yitikne Eved Ivri. And the way the Maimed goes is it's explaining the place of Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Moshe Rabbeinu has to give us das. Moshe Rabbeinu has to lift us up. When Mashiach comes, the Avodah is over, and you have basically, I hate to use this word, but this is the right word, I think, schar, right? Every Yid achieves the Madreg of das. So the Rebbe connected it to Basi Lagani, that there's three translations of the word Sova, which is the shadish of the word Tzivis Hashem. Sova means a certain amount of time that a soldier has to fight the war, and when the war is over, it's all beautiful. This was yesterday's class. Okay? Now, the Rebbe doesn't discuss so much, or maybe even at all, what's going to be the role of Moshe Rabbeinu in Elf Hashvi, right? In the 7th millennia. What is going to be the role of Moshe Rabbeinu? He doesn't talk about it. He simply says that when the 7th millennia comes, we're all going to reach Das. So let's start page Chav Dalet, please. 6 lines to the end of the Pedic. If you don't mind looking inside, I would be very, very, very honored and delighted. The line that begins with the word Kabbalah Sale. Okay. No, wrong book. Wrong book. Wrong book. Try to get tough. We're
learning this book, Tersh Menachem, from the Secrets. You guys ever, bro?
I opened the book and I'm getting attacked. How dare you? The people are against me.
It's a conspiracy. The only reason I asked to open the book is that people are supposed to attack you. That's the reason.
That's the reason.
You have to just understand. You have to understand. You have to understand.
You
have to understand.
I don't know what I've done, but the people don't love me.
The people don't like you. They love you.
Yeah.
So much that when you open the wrong book, it gets better.
If I didn't scream at you, would I even like it?
It's never yours.
Yeah, that's it.
You didn't bring a little one?
I can't believe you didn't get good shot at the end.
She did olive touch, she did days.
You don't get extra points.
Take her
You don't get extra points.
Defend for yourself, man.
There's plenty.
Every man for themselves, get your book. Book reading.
You guys know what
You comfortable over there? You can pull the bench out to be a lot more comfortable, no?
I'm good.
Are you good?
Next to me.
Or you can sit next to it. David Yankiv.
I'm good.
You good?
Good.
Are we all back? We all here?
Missing
Yeah.
And
Yeah. We're just taking here.
the first year.
You know what you're going to do when you finish the whole Tanakh, Menachem Mendel. You know what you're going to do when you finish the whole Tanakh.
Start again.
You're going to start over.
Oh.
I've been convinced that
You're going to start over. You're going to read it a few times.
I'll do that too, and then I'll do wrong also.
Okay, you can do, but you should don't do it once.
Yeah,
And you should eventually learn it in the Hebrew.
And this does have Hebrew.
But you're reading the English or the Hebrew?
In Hebrew, if I don't know the Hebrew.
Oh, you look very good, very good, very good.
Bogo's a non-commod spot.
Like a lit vicious spy.
Bro, have you ever read Yiddish Cup?
Who?
You ever saw the book Yiddish Cup?
I have not.
It's this Jewish. It's a picture book, but it has like a really mind twisting riddles that you have to figure out by little details in the picture.
Okay.
Bogo looks like he's straight out of that book.
Who? His name is Pinchas
Talking
Eliyahu.
about how you're a spy for the Litvish.
And a spy for the Litvish.
Yeah, you know everyone is a. I know everyone is a Chinese spy. You're a Litvish spy.
A Litvish spy.
Yeah, that's the wrong book.
he's found out.
There was no way this is wrong.
I'm a
litfish spy. Oh man, did I?
What did I do? What did I do?
Blow my cover?
Me?
Okay, let's go. Page Chavdal, I want to learn.
I was on you from day one, by the way.
Let's go. Come on.
It's the beard, isn't it?
The lockdown?
Yeah.
Vayidei avodazu, which is 6 lines from the end, and 7 lines from the end. Through doing this avodah, right? Then how does the Maimer go? The Maimer, for the most part, spoke about Moshe Rabbeinu giving us das. Moshe Rabbeinu giving us earnestness and Yiddishkeit. I think about this all the time. Think about the Rebbe. I think about the Rebbe and us. How the Rebbe looked at you and knew everything about you. You know, you couldn't fool the Rebbe. The Rebbe knew everything about us. And his inyan was to help us become us. That was his job. The Rebbe's inyan was to help us become us. He had to give us the das that we needed to do what we needed to do. And what was the job? The job was Tzidus Hashem, to use the time we have to fight the good fight, to make the world beautiful. And by day avodas when we do this work. That means using the time we have to fight the good fight, to make our piece of the word beautiful. Naaseh hafichas hasheker va'kesher de'olam. We transform the lie and the not, K-N-O-T, of the world. L'karshe ha-mishkan, to boards for the Mishkan. This is also Basi Lagani themed. In Basi Lagani, the previous Rebbe talks about transforming Klippa into Kedusha. And one of the models that he uses is that you take sheker, which means a lie, and you rearrange the same 3 letters into keresh, which is the board for the Mishkan. It says that Rebbe Harei. The translation of that in English means emphasis. Meisha Shebedereinu, Meisha in our generation, Shehu Kvei Kedushas Merecham Edmor Defriya Dike Rebbe, Yekasha Es Yechida Shalahem. We'll connect our Yechida in Bechinas Yechida Shalei with the Yechida of the Nasi Hadar of the Rebbe himself. She Te'enes Ulach, which carries our yoke, Yechida Leyachtach, to unify us with the Eibishter. These words, Te'enes Ulach, Yechida Leyachtach, are in the Hishainis.
When the Rebbe said that we should connect ourselves to the Frierdiker Rebbe, was he literally saying to the Frierdiker Rebbe and not himself?
There are 2 answers to that question. One answer to that question is, and the Rebbe always meant himself, but this is just the way he spoke. During the Parshas HaSfarim, which was 35 years into his tenure as a Rebbe, the lawyers asked the Rebbe what the Rebbe means when he says Nasi Dereinu, and the Rebbe went like this. What is it? He pointed at himself. That's the shmua. I wasn't there, but that's the rumor. But the other answer to that question is, this is the one thing that the Rebbe and Chassidim disagree about. The Rebbe talked about Frierdiker Rebbe not for a year or 2 after his Histalkus, for the whole time. All the Rabbeim talked about the Rebbe before. You know, when the Rebbe Rashab passed away yesterday, today's Beis Nissen. Today is the yard site of the Rebbe Rashab. Last night, tonight, today. The Rebbe Rayatz talked about his father a lot, but just for a while, a year or so, and then he stopped. It became his Nesius. The Rebbe never stopped talking about the Frierdiker Rebbe, and never stopped talking about the Frierdiker Rebbe as the Nasi. And each time the Rebbe would say it, we would think, yeah. So it's very hard to know. I mean, the Rebbe knew quite well that he was a Rebbe. I think he was pretty aware of his level and his responsibility and alla gute Sachen. And the koiches the Rebbe had, the greatness of the Rebbe. The Rebbe had a pretty good idea that he was a Rebbe. But this was just the way he did it. But this is from the Nusach of Yishainis. Te'enes ulach, the Yishainis goes in the order of Aleph base. So Te'enes ulach l'chida yachtoch. I think this is about Yiddish and Neshamis. He carries our oil, our yoke, and he unifies with the Eibishter. And through doing our job and being connected to the Nasi Hadar and the Eibishter and the Nasi Hadar, the Rebbe, the Nasi Hadar, affecting the Mishmar moment, the Eibishter. And the 7th millennium will become free. Mashiach is going to come. There's going to be the revelation of the Asid, of the future. And of course, this is ushered in through Moshe Rabbeinu, Shehu Geil, Rishon, V'Geil, Achrin, which is the Lashon from Chazal. He's the first Redeemer. And he's the final Redeemer. And he brings Mashiach. And of course, then first is Mashiach, and then there's Elam Haba, which I'll explain in a moment. Quickly in our days. In Abagol, that means in our cycle of time. The Rebbe will redeem us from this final, bitter Golus, where the darkness is doubled and redoubled. And the Rebbe, the Friedrich Rebbe, will redeem us. And in the footnote 38, it says, Chasar Asiyim, the end of the Maimed is missing.
What?
The last word, they don't have the very last words of the Rebbe's bracha.
Why not?
Because they don't remember them.
They forgot.
They forgot. Yeah, the Rebbe said the Maimed, and they probably said a bunch of sichas as well, and they forgot it.
Actually, the last words are from Harry, Chaim.
Nah, you see, but that was later. In those days, this Lashon, the Rebbe uses those exact words in the Basei Lagani. If you study, I once tried to look it up, it's impossible to trace. In the beginning of the Rebbe's Nesias, he did not finish every Sikha with Mashiach. He didn't. He would just finish a Sikha. Once in a while, he'd finish with Mashiach, and then at some point, the Rebbe started saying, B'mheira b'yameinu. Mashiach b'mheira b'yameinu. Then, at a later point, and it's very, very difficult to find an exact date, when I was growing up, we knew the Sikha was finished, and there was nothing about Mashiach. B'mheira b'yameinu mamish. It became standard. A Sikha or a Maimer from the Rebbe would not finish without a reference to Mashiach. B'mheira b'yameinu mamish. When did that start? It's very difficult to know for sure. In the 70s, for sure, the Rebbe was saying it. Like I said, I'm not going to say I spent hundreds of hours, but I was curious to see the evolution of L'shoinois by the Rebbe about Mashiach. It's very, very difficult to find a precise date. But the last years, the most recent years, the Rebbe changed it again from B'mheira b'yameinu mamish to take it from Yad mamish. Take it from Yad. When I was in yeshiva, before I went on shlichus, the Rebbe talked a lot about Miyad. But he still was saying B'mheira b'yameinu mamish. The Lashon changed from B'mheira b'yameinu mamish to take it from Yad mamish. I'm not sure exactly when. But there's certainly an evolution of language by the Rebbe when it gets to Mashiach. Here, this Lashon, B'mheira b'yameinu ba'gola didan, is word for word from the Basei Lagani. It's almost the same words that the Rebbe said. You have to understand, the first Maimed was less than 20 days before this one. That was a brand new Rebbe. This Mamish is the very, very, very beginning. This is Shabbos Mevorchim Oderishin, which means it's less than 20 days since Yutrat. And the Rebbe is making reference back to that Maimed. So what I want to talk about today, consider we finished the Maimed. Now, I have to find a new Maimed. I will admit that this Maimed, usually I teach 2 Maimonim a year in Achei, but the first Maimed finishes around Shvat. It doesn't go till Pesach. Now this Maimed took longer for 2 reasons. Number one, because there were things in this Maimed that I spent a lot of time on. If you remember, Chochma Bina Das, we spent a whole bunch of time on Chochma, a whole bunch of time on Bina, a whole bunch of time on Das. I've given myself the freedom to spend more time in this Maimed. So I have to choose another Maimed, which will have to be short enough for us to complete till the end of the year. My only issue is I may not be able to find it in that sefer, so if I don't find it in that sefer, I'll make you copies and I'll bring it in and we'll learn a shorter Maimed. Another thing was I got sick. I missed a month. I missed a lot of time.
Also, have in mind that even though there's like 5 weeks left to yeshiva after, or 5 or 6 weeks, I think.
That's it? Till Shavuos?
Last year there was 2 others also.
Yeah, no, I think there's only 6. I think there's only 6 weeks after, maybe 7-ish. But consider at least 3 of them taken by random events that will end up making that there will be a fitness. So like it has to be a lot shorter.
3 weeks?
I'm saying the amount of times that something's going to come up, like, oh, this morning we're going somewhere and going boating, or this morning it's like something else, like
Boating.
like it's probably going to be a
And
lot
Six
of
Flags
stuff.
trip.
So like Six
Six
Flags
Flags.
trip. So just consider like it'll probably have to be like a really short one.
It's literally over.
Also,
we're basically done speaking.
or
What?
The other option is to learn it more quickly.
Yes.
Right? How much time you drag a Maimed out is.
Yeah, that's
Let's just learn nothing.
Huh?
Yep.
That we experienced that. We're Talmidei Chachamim in the area of nothing. Anyway, so here's what I want to talk about. Okay? Mashiach and Elam Haba. A lot of people get this confused. It says over here that the Gilul Asiras Aimesha Shugail Rishon V'Geil Achrein Shebimheira B'Yameinu U'Ba'Gola Didan Yigaleinu Me'Agola Sa'achrein Hamad. I want to clarify this, okay? There are 2 ideas, at least, possibly 3, and maybe even 4, depending on which shita you hold and how you divide it. First of all, there's Yemei HaMashiach and Elam Haba. There's the times of Mashiach and the world to come. When the Rebbe speaks about Moshe Rabbeinu being the first Redeemer, the final Redeemer, he's talking about Mashiach. Moshe Rabbeinu is Mashiach. Moshe Rabbeinu is Mashiach. There's a Ma'ameh Chazal, Moshe Hugel, Rishon Hugel, Achrin. And the Rebbe, of course, has his famous note where the Rebbe asks the question that Moshe Rabbeinu is from Shevet Levi and Mashiach has to be from Shevet Yehuda. So how could Moshe Rabbeinu be the first Redeemer, the final Redeemer? So the Rebbe explains that it's a Gilgul Neshamis situation.
Sorry.
But when he talks about Moshe Rabbeinu being the first Redeemer, the final Redeemer is talking about Yemei HaMashiach. There's a very, very big difference between Yemei HaMashiach and Elam Haba, the times of Mashiach and the world to come. And the difference is because Yemei HaMashiach is a world like the one we live in. Yemei HaMashiach is still a world. People are born, people grow up, people live, people die. But they don't necessarily suffer, they don't have to be sick. It can be a good world. But it's a world like the world which we know. It's a familiar thing. According to the Rambam, okay, so I'll get to the Rambam in a minute. The Rambam argues with the Ravid about this. The Rambam holds that when Mashiach comes, the world remains a natural world. It's the same world as the world we live in. The Ravid disagrees and he says that the coming of Mashiach is connected to many miracles. But even according to the Ravid, who holds that Mashiach is connected to many miracles, Mashiach is, to use the Lashon HaPasuk, still a part of Hayoim La'asayim. Now we do work, Ulamach L'Kabas, tomorrow we get reward. Hayoim La'asayim includes both Elam Hazeh and Yemei HaMashiach. After Mashiach comes, we're still serving Hashem, we're learning Torah, we're doing mitzvahs, we have free will. Schar, reward is not in Yemei HaMashiach, Schar is in Elam Haba. The argument is only whether it's going to be natural, it's going to be supernatural.
So
Wait.
they don't get candies on the
So
tree
wait,
for
so
a
wait,
way?
so wait, so wait, so we just have a little patience. So there's so many different approaches to this machlokes. The Rambam brings the Gemara. It's a machlokes Rav and Shmuel and Shas, and the Rambam brings Ein Amru Chachamim Ein Ben Elam Hazeh Yemei HaMashiach and L'Shibud Malchis Bavad. Our rabbi said that there's no difference between the times of Mashiach and Elam Haba except sovereignty. After Mashiach comes, we're going to rule ourselves. It's going to be our own balabatim. It's going to be Yidden going to be free, but we're going to have the same Yetzer Hara and the same free will and the same world, the same Torah mitzvahs. Everything is going to be the same. The Ravid pounces on this Rambam and says, "What are you talking about? It says in the pasuk V'ishpati chayarom in the Oretz, there's going to be no predatory animals, no wild animals. How could there be no wild animals if there's no difference between Elmaz and Yemei HaMashiach?" So the Ravid disagrees with the Rambam. So how do you reconcile the machlokes? So there's a lot of different reconciliations. First of all, in the Rambam himself, this people don't know about this. The Rebbe spoke about this in the Sichos. The Rambam has a letter called Igeres Temimim. The Rambam has a few very famous letters. The Rambam wrote many letters. The Rambam was a Rav, he was a Pesach, he wrote Chuvas. But the Rambam has letters which are mamish like Sforim. Igeres Temimim, Igeres Tchias HaMeisim, and Igeres Hashmar are the most famous letters of the Rambam. By the way, the Meir Nevuchim is also a letter, just a very, very long one, written in installments. But the Rambam has a letter called the Igeres Temimim. The Igeres Temimim talks about Nevuah, ostensibly, about prophecy. But he also talks a lot about Mashiach. And in this Igeres Temimim, the Rambam's letter, which he wrote to the Jews of Yemen, the Rambam writes that in the Sefer Mishnah Torah I wrote that the Mashiach comes, the world is very natural. It's not going to change. It's going to be the same world as the world we live in now. The Rambam writes, and you have to remember that Rambam wrote in Arabic. He didn't write in Hebrew. So you never know for sure if it's exactly the Rambam's words, but it's certainly the Rambam's intent, the Rambam's content. Ein davar zeh hechleiti. This idea that I wrote in the Sefer Mishnah Torah, that after Mashiach comes there's going to be no miracles, it's not certain. I'm not sure. It could be like this. Maybe it could be miracles. The Rambam writes that himself. This is number one. Number two, and this is a very important number two. According to the Rambam, Tchias HaMeisim is a part of Yemei HaMashiach. The resurrection of the dead is not Elam Haba. Tchias, according to the Rambam, Tchias HaMeisim is part of Yemei HaMashiach.
So Tchias HaMeisim is going to be scientific?
So wait, good gefragt. So according to the Rambam, Tchias HaMeisim is part of Yemei HaMashiach. Tchias HaMeisim is the biggest miracle that ever could happen. So b'meile, the Rebbe says in the Sichos that according to the Rambam, he has other sources for this, other Sfarim that say this, you must say that the Rambam himself holds that there's two periods. In other words, the Rambam writes, Mashiach's going to come, and then there's going to be no miracle. The world's going to be a natural world. That's in the beginning of the coming of Mashiach. Later on, the Rambam has to agree that miracles are going to happen, because if Tchias HaMesim, according to the Rambam, happens in the times of Mashiach, there's no greater miracle than Tchias HaMesim. So the Rebbe has this famous idea, according to the Rambam, what he calls the two tkufas. In Yemei Mashiach itself, there's two periods. An earlier period Yemei Mashiach and a later period Yemei Mashiach. In the earlier period Yemei Mashiach, the world is natural. In the later period Yemei Mashiach, miracles have to happen, including Rabbi Hecht. Candies growing on trees, acidin, that the lahaitzi, that the gluskais or klimilas, all the different lashainus in the Gemara, how things are going to grow on the trees that we don't have to process. It's all going to be ready. Clothes are going to grow on trees. So even according to the Rambam, there has to be a latter period that miracles occur, because if Tchias HaMesim is going to happen, and Tchias HaMesim is the greatest miracle of all, so according to the Rambam, there's two tkufas, right? This is what the Rebbe says. Now, to qualify that, they bring the idea of Achishena and Be'ito. They bring when you talk about Mashiach, it's actually words in the pasuk. Be'ito Achishena, and the Gemara develops these psukim at length. Be'ito Achishena means that Mashiach could come in two ways. Mashiach could come in a way that we deserve him, and Mashiach could come in a way that we don't deserve him, and it comes because the time has come. Baruch Shechishav Saketz Lasis, Baruch Hamaka Baruch Hu Baruch. The Eibishter decided when Mashiach is going to come, and as the Lashon is, Lo Ikvan Afilu Kehedafayim, when the time came for Mashiach to come, the Eibishter doesn't keep us back 1 second. The Eibishter has the plan when Mashiach is going to come, and when the time of Mashiach comes, it's going to come right away. Right away, immediately. So, it says in Chassidus, it says in Sicha, it says in Sforim, that what is going to determine whether Mashiach comes early or Mashiach comes when the time is right, when the time is scheduled? The answer to that question, if we deserve him. If we deserve Mashiach, if we earn Mashiach, we bring him sooner. If we don't deserve him, Mashiach waits till the time that the Eibush is set aside, and then he comes.
And how do we deserve it?
Through Torah mitzvahs, through tshuva.
Officially, the time that he set aside is the year 6000?
No. L'chayra, the year 6000 is Elam Haba. Mashiach isn't part of Elam Hazeh. Mashiach is part of the 6,000 years. This the Pashtas, the 7th millennia, at least the way I understand it.
2 years left.
Is Elam Haba. The Mashiach has to come in the 6th millennium in Elam Hazeh. So the Rebbe says one of the ways of resolving this question is, how does Mashiach come? If we earn Mashiach, and we get Mashiach because we worked and deserved him, so as soon as Mashiach comes, there'll be miracles, like the Ravid says. And like the Rambam writes in the Geras Teimam, I'm not sure how this is going to be. Will it be B'derech HaTeva, B'derech Nes? If, on the other hand, we don't deserve Mashiach, and Mashiach comes because the time came, so then Mashiach comes B'derech HaTeva, and as the Rebbe explains it in the Sichos, we earn Mashiach post facto. After Mashiach comes, we earn Mashiach. And if and when we earn Mashiach after Mashiach comes, that's when the miracles begin to happen. And that's one of the ways of explaining the transition from Derech HaTeva to Nes and Yemei Mashiach.
That means nothing's going to change when Mashiach comes if we didn't know.
Right, according to the Rambam. Right, the Ravid says for sure it's going to change. The Rambam says it's not going to change. And one of the ways of making both Shittas work, or at least one of the ways of explaining the two eras, the two epochs in the Messianic time, according to the Rambam, is that you assume the Mashiach comes. You don't want to assume, but if Mashiach comes and we don't deserve him, so Mashiach comes b'derech HaTeva, and as we earn him and as we deserve him, the miracles begin to happen. So this is one way of resolving the dilemma between the two approaches.
Would you even know if Mashiach came?
Of course.
There's a big point.
But first of all, Mashiach's a person. And he redeems the Jewish people. And he builds the Beis HaMikdash. And ultimately he brings all Yidden back for the whole world. And he's Mashpia on Goyim. Mashiach's Mashpia on Goyim. To keep Shavah Mitzvahs.
How many years are there meant to be if you miss Mashiach? Between you miss Mashiach and Elam Haba?
So, there's different shittas in the Gemara. There's 3 generations, 40 years, 60 years. I forgot the pratim at the moment, and I don't want to speak from memory because I researched this many, many years ago. So nish frish bamid. That's what you miss Mashiach and Elam Haba. Or Tchias HaMesim. It could be Mashiach and Tchias HaMesim, but I'm not sure. But the 3 numbers that I remember are 40 or 60 years or 3 generations.
3 generations is how long?
The Rambam says in Pirush HaMishnayos, okay, sit down before I tell this to you. Hu u'bnoi u'ben bnei. Mashiach and Mashiach's son and Mashiach's grandson, which means the Mashiach himself passes away. Azay state the Pirush HaMishnayos Rambam. And of course, you know how that goes over by the people. Anyway.
That also means though that
But there's one more thing that I want to mention to you, which is Gvaldik. And this is Alter Rebbe in Tanya. And it's such a good resolution to this whole dilemma. It's very profound, and it's very, the right word is very commanding. It's muntasar. The Alter Rebbe says that there's such a thing called Eirev Rav. Eirev Rav. We know about Eirev Rav, right? Moshe Rabbeinu left Mitzrayim, he took along Eirev Rav. And Bepashtus Eirev Rav means people. Goyim, they were not Bnei Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov. And Moshe Rabbeinu took them out of Mitzrayim because they said they wanted to join the Jewish people. And as Rashi says, Moshe Rabbeinu thought he was doing a good thing. He was bringing Gedim into the Jewish people. And the Eibusha told him, Kishiches Amcha, those are the people who made the Egel, the whole business. So Api Pashtus, Eirev Rav means Gedim. That's a simple touch of Eirev Rav. But in Tanya, Eirev Rav means something different. And it's comes from Kabbalah. It's in Igeres HaKedesh Yud Aleph, in the 7th letter in Tanya. And you also have it in Igeres HaKedesh, I guess it's Chavav 26. Eirev Rav means the Yidden who still have a Shachas Teklipa. And in Kabbalah language, Eirev Rav means you're in the Madreg of Eitz Hadas, you're not yet in the Madreg of Eitz HaChaim. In the Igeres HaKedesh Yud Aleph, in the 7th and the 11th letter in Tanya, the Alter Rebbe talks about B'tocha. And B'tocha means everything comes from the Eibishter. And everything comes from the Eibishter, Hakel Taiv, the Eibishter is good, everything is good. Eirev Rav are people who don't believe that everything comes from the Eibishter. That's how Alter Rebbe frames it. So Eirev Rav is people, you and me. A Yid, not a Ben Gadim. His father was, what do we say? It was the dirtiest word in the Lubavitcher language. Gesh, yeah. And he's Eirev Rav. Why is he Eirev Rav? Because his B'tachan is deficient. And Alter Rebbe in that letter is writing to a Chassid who's struggling with his B'tachan because his life is miserably hard. And the Alter Rebbe says, you don't want to be from the Eirev Rav, you want to be from those people. You want to have a belief that everything comes from the Eibishter, and if it comes from the Eibishter, Hakel Taiv, everything is good. He brings up this concept of Eirev Rav, and he gets HaKedesh Chavav, where he talks about Mashiach. And the Alter Rebbe offers a very, very unique solution, or resolution to this question of when the Mashiach comes, B'derech Teva, B'derech Nes. And the Alter Rebbe says it's not a time, it's a person. It's not like in the earlier times the Yemei Mashiach is going to be B'derech Teva, because it's going to be Be'ita. And only afterwards it's going to become B'derech Nes, because we earn Mashiach after Mashiach comes, and as we earn Mashiach, the miracles occur. The Alter Rebbe writes, it has to do with the difference between people. If you're a Talmud Chacham means if you're above the whole idea of Eirev Rav, if your connection to Eibush is pure, so by you is going to be all the miracles that the Gemara says in the Masechet Ksubis and in Shabbos, whatever it is.
So some people will die and some people won't.
So as they come tais. And if you're from Eirev Rav, so then you're going to live in the world of Derech HaTeva. And the Rambam says that, Alter Rebbe says even more. If a person is holding in the Madrege of Eitz HaChaim, he's not going to have to learn Nigla. He's not going to have to learn Halacha. He's going to know, there's different Eifanim in Alter Rebbe, this is one of them. You're going to know what to do from Kabbalah. You're going to be learning Seder Satera, like Avraham did. Avraham didn't have a Shulchan Aruch, he learned Seder Satera. And from the Seder Satera, you're going to know how to do the mitzvahs. And at the same time, across the road, there's going to be your neighbor, and he's struggling in Pshat and Gemara with a Psak Din of Halacha, because since he's in the Madreg of Eirev Rav, see, he has to learn the Madreg of Teda, which is called Eitz Hadas Teva Ra. So the Alter Rebbe offers a different approach. It's not a question of times. Be'ita Achishena, Be'ita means Mashiach comes on time, which means he comes B'derech HaTeva. Or Achishena, we hasten the coming of Mashiach. In which case it happens B'derech Nisim, but it's Pashat people. One person is holding by Eitz HaChaim, another person is holding by Eitz Hadas. And the Vart is, after Mashiach comes, the environment is going to be supportive for us to grow in Ruchnius. We're going to have cell phones, but we're going to own our cell phones, and our cell phones are not going to own us. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a better...
So it could be a husband and wife at one...
Perhaps. It could be a father and sons, it could be brothers, it could be one person holding the Madreg of Eitz HaChaim. If you're holding Madreg of Eitz HaChaim, so by you the miracles are occurring, but the Alter Rebbe says you're not even going to have to learn Nigla. Or he says you'll learn it once, you'll never forget it. You'll be busy with Seder Satera. If a person still hasn't completely cleansed himself, and he himself, inside of himself, is the madreg of Eid of Rav, which means he has betachan issues, so he's going to be learning, he's going to have derech hateva, he's going to be learning nigla and the rest. That's how the Alter Rebbe resolves
It's
it.
gonna be like 2 people in Mashiach.
So we're screwed. Mashiach is 2 people.
I forget about me answering your question. Did you think that question through before you asked? Yeah?
Not really a question, it's like a statement.
It's a miserable statement. Did you think the statement through before you made it?
Nah, yeah.
No, you didn't.
But it's a fact.
What's the fact?
The level that you just described, nobody here, maybe you are, but none, I mean, I'm gonna speak for myself, I'm not on that level. I don't know a lot of people on that level.
I got a problem. Your name is Tzemach. It's been a long time. You have just one name. Tzemach. You're describing a static situation. It's the same thing like the 15-year-old Bacher who's learning Tanya, and he finds out that a Benyan, he has no Avedis, and he says he doesn't necessarily use the word you used, because in high school they don't let you use such words. Okay, forget, I'm a Rasha, I'm finished, close the book, I'm out, right?
It's not a thing.
It's exactly what you said.
We still have time.
Now, why is that wrong?
Because you're giving up.
Because the Tanya is not paskening who you are. The Tanya is a challenge for avodah, for growth. With the Mashiach as a psak din, that's it, finish your Eid of Rav. The whole point is that there's work and growth. Some people do the work before Mashiach. So as soon as Mashiach comes, they have the matzav of Eitz HaChaim, they have the matzav of miracles, because they earned it before Mashiach came. Other people didn't. We're going to sit around and be depressed. We're going to work. And we're going to grow. And we're going to save, graduate to the Madreg of Eitz Hadas, to the Madreg of Eitz HaChaim, and then we have miracles. Including the miracle of Tchias HaMeis.
But so the people who were on that level before they passed away will have Tchias HaMeis.
You see, so maybe that's how it plays in. I mean, the Rebbe holds, based on Gemaras, that there's different types of Tchias HaMeis. Tzaddikim of Tchias HaMeis and Liyalden. The Rebbe brings in the Gemara that Moshe and Iman, as soon as Mashiach comes, Moshe and Aaron are there. And he uses this as a raya that some tzaddikim come Tchias HaMeis earlier. In other words, that's not the Tchias HaMeis of Ani Maimeh Bemunah Shlema of Tchias HaMeis. This is Tchias HaMeis of a big tzaddikim. Perhaps the reason is what the Alter Rebbe says, that Yidden who reached the Madreg of Eitz HaChaim, they reached the Madreg that they transcended the idea of Eid of Rav. They were Talmidei Chachamim, and that's the Lashon in the Tanya, based on the Zohar. Before Mashiach came, maybe that's the explanation for why they have Tchias HaMeis right away. And other people's Tchias HaMeis has to do with the changes that are taking place in the world. Maybe it's an I'm not sure that that's the pshat, but it may be.
Are they going to have to modernize?
You're asking about technology. Can we leave technology out of it for a moment, please? AI will do a fine job all by itself.
Technology, but like, I guess it is tech, but like, still.
Anyway,
Like,
let me continue
we're
my
not a drive
thought.
home.
Let me continue my thought, please. There's another thing that you have to know from the Rambam, which is very important. Very, very important Rambam. Where the Rambam asks the question, is the reward for Judaism pizza with extra cheese?
Sounds good to me.
Huh? Right. But the question is the reward for Yiddishkeit that you'll have a lot of taivas, a lot of nice things, a lot of pleasure. So the Rambam speaks about this at great length in his Akdama, Akdama to Perek Sanhedrin, to Perek Chelik, where the Rambam says, if a person is given reward for doing mitzvahs by giving pizza with extra cheese, that makes the pizza with the extra cheese more valuable than the mitzvah. And somehow that seems unbecoming of God.
Can you give like 4 answers for this in one class?
Huh?
When you ask this question, give like 4 answers.
Whatever, we talked about this before. But the Rambam says, the shaila is that in Chumash, in Pashas B'chukaisai, it says, in B'chukaisai Telechu, v'nosatik Yishmecha be'itam. You learn Torah to do mitzvah, I'm going to give you rain. And you know, the Baal Shem Tov teaches that Gishmechem doesn't mean rain, it means Gashmias. V'nosatik Yishmecha, I'll give you all Dvarim Gashmias. So the Rambam asks the question, this is what the Eibush is saying? That you're going to learn Torah and do mitzvahs the way you're supposed to. In B'chukaisai, the Madreka of Eitzes HaChakika, you're going to be zeichet the pizza with extra cheese. And the Rambam gives a very important answer. This is Perek Tes of Hilchos Tshuva. It's a very important answer. The Rambam says that's not what it means. It means something together, different altogether. Just like this. The way Hashem operates is, as the oldest cliche goes, God helps those who help themselves. If you learn Torah and you do mitzvahs, because you care, so Hashem is going to see that you're putting your best foot forward. You're trying to learn Torah and do mitzvahs. So the Eibush is going to say, I'm going to help you do more Torah and do more mitzvahs. And the cliche line, which is, so to speak, the graduation, the culmination for the Rambam, is Kedei Sheyizku L'chaya Elam Haba. We should merit Elam Haba, which is the reward. So the Rambam writes, when it says in the Torah that you learn Torah and do mitzvahs, you get physical reward. The pshat is, if you learn Torah and do mitzvahs, Hashem is going to give you a good life physically, which is going to give you opportunity to do more Torah and do mitzvahs. But if you don't care about Torah mitzvahs, if you don't care, and you care so the Eibush is not going to give you gashmias, so you'll have a harder time learning Torah and do mitzvahs, because according to the Rambam, that when your life is physically hard, it's impossible for you to serve the Eibush to learn Torah and do mitzvahs. You don't have a clear head. So the Rambam is explaining that the gashmiistic blessing that the Eibush gives is not a reward; it's an opportunity. If Hashem sees you trying your best to learn Torah, to do mitzvahs to the best of your limited abilities, so He helps you by making your life materially better, so you can learn more Torah and do more mitzvahs. So you should have more schar and elam haba. This is what the Rambam writes in Hilchos Teshuvah, right? So on this you have to bring in Tchias HaMesim. This is where Tchias HaMesim comes in. Since the Rambam holds, for reasons which I will get to soon, I have to drink it, not just look at it yet. Thank you very much. Since the Rambam holds that Tchias HaMesim is part of the Messianic here, it's not part of Elam Haba. And the reason why the Rambam holds this is because the Rambam holds that Elam Haba is, in quotes, Neshama is beli gufim, the soul is without the body. So Tchias HaMesim is a part of this world. So then becomes the question, why do you have to have Tchias HaMesim? Why? Why is it important that everybody who died, every single person who died should come back and live again? Every Yid should live again and so on. Why? Why? There's only one answer. That maybe a person lived 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago, and his life was very hard. And he had this problem, he had this problem, and this problem. And the result of all of his problems, he wasn't able to do Torah mitzvahs. If he didn't do Torah mitzvahs, he's not going to have Elam Haba, he has no schar. So Tchias HaMesim is to give a Yid another opportunity to learn Torah and do mitzvahs. In other words, according to the Rambam, this is my own opinion, but I think it's very hard to disagree with this. According to the Rambam, the reason for Tchias HaMesim is to give us another opportunity, another chance to learn Torah and do mitzvahs. Meaning, even after the miracles happened, people came back from the dead. The purpose of life in the second epoch, in the second period of time, or in the second situation for people, depending on the word from the Alter Rebbe, I Pashut love. Alter Rebbe's solution to the question is so wonderful. Is that the reason you have Tchias HaMesim is to learn more Torah and do more mitzvahs, Kedei Sheyizku L'chaya Elam Haba, that we should merit Elam Haba. And the Rambam writes in Hilchos Mashiach, K'moshe b'yanu b'Hilchos Teshuvah. He brings it up again in Hilchos Mashiach. Like I explained in Hilchos Teshuvah, that the Gashmiistic reward is an opportunity to learn more Torah and do mitzvahs. Shuvizechet Elam Haba. So wait 1 second. So you have two ideas in Yemei Mashiach, and either it's two opinions, or it's two time frames, or it's two people. One is more natural, one is more supernatural. But according to the Rambam, at least, even the supernatural state is a period of Tchias HaMesim, and that the reason for Tchias HaMesim is that we should have opportunities to be to Zechet Elam Haba. Now, okay, let's go with questions. Go ahead, I'm about to ask me.
According to the Rambam that says that Elam Haba is Neshamas not in Gufim. And according to that, why do we need Tchias HaMesim to be something where the body comes back? Maybe the soul could just go back into a new body, just be a gilgul, and then, because the reward either way is just going to be with Neshamas.
I just told you why. Tchias HaMesim is to earn Elam Haba.
Yes.
It's not Elam Haba. So I just told you.
Yeah, so according to that, you don't need the actual body to come back. You could say that the soul comes back into a new body, does more mitzvahs and whatever, has a good life.
What does the Rambam believe
goes
about
back
Gilgulim? What's the Rambam's shita on Gilgulim?
No idea.
He doesn't speak about it. Rasak doesn't hold of Gilgulim. It's so tricky. You cannot mix apples and oranges. You can't. You can't decide for the Rambam what the Rambam holds, because we hold that the Rambam was a big Makubal, and he was not able to reveal it. But you can't just apply Kabbalistic ideas to the Rambam and just make it work. It doesn't go that way. If you come back in a different guf, it's a different person. Bechlal, if you knew the idea of Gilgul Neshamas, at least Gilgul Neshamas, the way it's understood in Arizah, there's no such thing as a neshama coming back. It's a simplism. It's one of the nouns that I've created. It's a simplism.
Yes.
Gilgul does not mean a neshama comes back. Gilgul means that the parent neshama, I told this to you,
No, I know.
you break off a spark and you make a new neshama. So it's not the same person. If every neshama that lived in a guf is going to have Triyas HaMeisim, every neshama that lived in a guf has to learn Teinu and do mitzvahs. If that neshama comes back in a different guf, that other guf will have Eilam Haba, but not the first one. Because it's about, because it's at the end of the neshamas. So the neshama is the same thing.
Reward for the second one. The second one's coming down as a result of the first one didn't finish.
Yeah, but the minute you're two, you're two. You never become one again. That's the whole chap.
But it'll still receive reward from the second one.
No.
It says
No, it'll be mashlan da avoida. It says where? In Rambam?
in Arizal.
In Kisvei Arizal. So this is, even in Kisvei Arizal, it's not so partial. Because once the second neshama is created, the second neshama is the second neshama. And its relation to the first neshama is not the same thing as the first neshama. In other words, there's a difference between saying, I am mashlan, you're kavana, and you're getting this char for the work I did because you are not the same neshama. They're not seamlessly the same. A Gilgul is mashla, but the first one didn't complete. But the schar is miyachas to the second one. And in the Rambam, I hear your point. If it's only neshamas, but I don't know if you could bechlal speak about Gilgul neshamas in the Rambam. The Rambam never talked about it. Okay, now the Rambam, I'm sure he believed in it, but in the way he wrote this for him, it's a question that you can't decide for the Rambam what the Rambam is thinking. But even according to Kabbalah, when the neshama comes back a second time, the secharas misyachas beikir to the second neshama. It's mashem the Kabbalah, the first neshama, but the schar is the second one. Go ahead, in the back.
If according to the logic where you're coming back to do it, why would the neshamas that already did it come back first? Why wouldn't you do it the opposite? People that didn't, like the farthest away from it, would get more time.
Okay, I can't answer that question. My guess is that you have to earn it. And if you don't earn it, you have to wait for the world to have changed enough to be conditioned for Tchias HaMeisim. If you earn it, going into Alter Rebbe's model, that one person could be holding about a second kufa, another person holding about a first kufa, at the same time, in the same place, in the same house, because one is the Madrega of a Talmud Chacham, and the other one is the Madrega of an Am Haaretz, or Erev Rav, as he calls it, okay? But if you're a person who's passed away, and you're in the Madrega of Erev Rav, in other words, you don't deserve Tchias HaMeisim early, the world is going to usher in Tchias HaMeisim. So the people alive before have to do enough Maisim Tevim to condition the world, that the world should be in a Maimed Matzev, that even though you didn't earn Tchias HaMeisim, the world is going to bring you to Tchias HaMeisim. So for those people, there's a point that the world has reached that stage where they can all have Tchias HaMeisim, because they didn't earn the Tchias HaMeisim by themselves. You're right, it would be nice if they had more time, but that's not the way the cookie crumbles. The game is not played that way. They need Tchias HaMeisim, that after Tchias HaMeisim, they will have opportunity to learn more Torah, to do more mitzvahs. Again, the quote from the Rambam is, Kedei sheyizku l'chayei el mavo.
This is all if we don't earn it?
This is all if you haven't earned it yet. Right.
So we could just avoid all of this by earning it first.
We don't avoid all this. We could mature into all of this by doing our best to serve the Eibishter. And after Mashiach comes, it's going to be Gishmakin. Go ahead.
But doesn't he still be Tatan Disease during that time?
During the first period, for sure. After Tchias HaMeisim, l'chayre not. But I don't know how the Rambam would hold. I don't know how the Rambam would hold.
We not hold like the Rambam in this.
Of course not. But we talk about the Rambam. And we hold like the Ramban. But we talk about the Rambam nevertheless.
How old do people come back?
The way they died. The Gemara speaks about it. The Rebbe has a letter on Tchias HaMeisim, which is really worth
What if
reading.
they died from getting their head chopped off?
Well, they exploded.
You come back that way, and then you get fixed post-mortem.
You get regrown.
from the Etzem Luz.
Yeah.
But you come, if all that's left is an Etzem Luz,
So people should be old
you
about that.
come back the way you passed away.
Really?
With the same tachrichim.
Why can't I know now?
With the same tachrichim, with the same trouts. Yes. So I have a son who's now 30 years old. I'm saying Kapitel Lamed Aleph for him. He's the third of my 10 children. When Tchias HaMesim come happens, he's going to be 5 days shy of his 4th birthday, right? He'll be younger than all of his siblings who he was born before.
Oh wow.
Unless you hold Yesh Baga Bakever, but L'cheira, the Gemara says you come back not just the same way you passed away, with the same shmatis, with the same pajamas.
Will you age?
No, you-
Afterwards.
No, when Mashiach comes.
So we'll be older than like.
Why not?
We'll be
So
older than
people
like
just
another
keep getting old, but like not sick. They just get old.
Again, people pass away in Mesa Mashiach.
No, after that. Like after.
Oh, with Tchias HaMesim, again, it's very hard to know how the Rambam would explain that period. But the Rambam would hold that it's finite, it's going to end. Because according to the Rambam, Elam Haba is Ruchnius, it's not Gashmius. Go ahead.
we believe in the Rebbe's Mashiach. I'm just struggling picturing this in my head. The Rebbe just like pulling up one day.
For some reason, it's not a struggle that I have. My struggle is that he's not pulling up. But I can tell you one thing, okay? Putting aside all your difficulty, you have to finish the class. I wasn't planning to make this the whole thing, but maybe tomorrow I'll continue this because I want to talk about Elam Haba. One thing I guarantee you: when Mashiach pulls up, you are going to run to Mashiach, and all your teachers and your parents are going to hide behind the trees and behind the beams. And he goes, I don't understand. Why are you hiding? But that's what's going to happen. The young Chevra are going to run to Mashiach, and the Alta Chevra are going to say, which hole should I hide in? As it is.
It's going to be very hard. You know,